So, Kathy, you're a fan of the British monarchy, as I understand it, but you don't think that they should have a role in Australia anymore?
That's right, because Australia is actually a human minestrone. We're the most multicultural nation in the world. 1 in 3 Australians was actually born overseas. And if you talk to our new immigrants, about the royal family, they bear little allegiance to a kind of castle encrusted, corgi caressing gang 11,000 miles away. So I think it's inevitable that Australia will sort of come to stand on our own two thongs eventually, own two flip-flops, I should say. And it's not as though we don't appreciate Charles. He's a fascinating person. I hold him as a friend of mine. What I love about him is you have to do open heart surgery to know what's going on inside most upper class Englishmen. But he's a very open and passionate person. And of course, he might connect with Australian young people because of his care for the environment. They have such strong issues with conservation. And so he will reach across the divide to them in that way. But he's not really on their radar for any other reason. If you talk to most Australian young people about the Queen, they thought you were talking about Elton John. And if you talk to them about the King, they think you're talking about Elvis Presley. So, it's not as though he will resonate in any other way. But it'll be interesting to see if he can connect on environmental issues.
Isn't there an argument, though, that, if it isn't broke, don't fix it? We know that relationships between Australia and the UK are looking pretty good at the moment. The AUKUS deal has just been signed. The Commonwealth seems to be going from strength to strength. And actually, the transition from Queen Elizabeth to King Charles has been very smooth. Why do you feel, do you feel that now is the moment to make this huge change? Why not just keep our friends close?
Because there's an open wound in Australia, which goes back to 1975, when our democratically elected Prime Minister Gough Whitlam and his Labor Party was sacked by the Governor General, who is he's the Queen's representative, the King's representative now in Australia. And of course, at the time, the monarchy said they didn't have anything to do with that decision. But now with the release of the Palace Letters, Jenny Hocking, an Australian academic, actually won a court case to get access to the Palace Letters. And we now know that the Palace did have a say in the sacking of our democratically elected government. So constitutionally, it is an issue that we can't decide our own government for ourselves. So there's that wound. Also, the Harry and Meghan factor. Since the release of Harry's book, support for the monarchy has dropped. that's had a huge impact on Australians on how they view the monarchy. So there's all sorts of reasons. And also we're now nearly all of mainland Australia is now red. We are Labor. There's only one little state hanging off the bottom of Australia, Tasmania, that's still Conservative. So, and Labor Party has always been more keen for a republic than the Conservatives. So I think it's inevitable it will happen in Albanese's second term. And the only reason it failed last time, the last referendum was in 1999, was that the politicians said they would appoint the head of state. And we didn't want a grey man in the suit. Yeah. Australians wanted Kylie Minogue or Dame Edna or someone fabulous and funny to be opening buildings and cutting ribbons. So as long as we are allowed to vote for our head of state, I think it is inevitable it will happen.
Well, that's really interesting. Using the word inevitable there, that's fascinating. And thank you so much, Kathy, for that really good rundown of exactly where things stand for now.